All right, I call to order this meeting of the Canyon City Historic Preservation Commission. We are waiting to see if Carol logs in via Zoom so we have a quorum. All right, well, now we have a quorum. We're still waiting on, see if we can get Carol on Zoom, but we can go ahead and move forward. Would you like to do roll call?
Terry? Chris?
Here.
Mike?
Here.
Jim?
Here.
Cindy is here. Carol?
She's going to continue to try to get on via Zoom, but right at the moment she's having difficulty doing that.
Okay. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the agenda and minutes from the August 25th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the August 25th meeting
And the
agenda.
and the agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Cindy, roll call?
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Cindy is a yes. And Carol, let us know when you're on.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna have another commission vacancy. We received a letter of resignation from Terry. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Should have gotten a copy with the agenda. But so now I'll entertain a motion to accept the resignation of the commission member Terry, and accept her. She is considering an appointment to the Public Outreach Committee. So the motion would be for her to accept her resignation and accept her appointment to the Public Outreach Committee.
I'll move to accept Terry's resignation and contact her in regard to serving on the Public Outreach Committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Cindy, roll call?
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Cindy's a yes. Carol?
Not on yet. All right, item number 5 on the agenda, the public hearing for 258 Griffin Avenue. Lisa, would you like to go over the staff report?
Yes, this is a public hearing and consideration for a motion to adopt a resolution to initiate the process for designation of the structure located at 258 Griffin Avenue as a local historic structure pursuant to the city's municipal code, section 123090. The name of the structure is currently Parkview Inn. Other names associated with this property are Lucas House, and the Fred Rouse House. The location of the property, it's located in M and B, or unknown subdivision, in what is commonly known as South Canyon area. The current property owners are Kevin Cundriff and Richard Millard. This is a proposed designation for a local historic building. The owners have been notified at least 15 days prior to the public hearing, and signs were posted on the property at least 15 days prior. The original construction date is circa 1880. The original owner is Louisa W. Lucas. At this time, architect, builder, and designer are unknown, and the structure has not moved from its original location. The former Lucas House, now the Parkview Inn, is a simplified 2-story brick Italianate house with a square or 4-square floor plan. The 2-story sleeping porch across the front facade of the building, which is a historical addition, gives the structure, at first glance, a craftsman appearance. The structure has undergone a couple historical additions or remodels to the original structure, which were done in the first quarter of the 20th century. These additions include the full facade, two-story screened-in porch, and the back areas of the house. The back wood-constructed additions consist of the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry area. According to the application form, the property has fallen into disrepair and needs a full restoration/rehabilitation to bring it back to its former state. The application also states that previous owners installed wood paneling on the interior walls and drop ceilings throughout the house, and many of the decorative corbels were removed and were found in the basement. The main staircase inside the house is original. In terms of significance to the property, the house first appears on a map of Canyon City compiled from official records by W.C. Willits of Denver, Colorado in 1886. The house is listed as being owned by L.W. Lucas. Miss Louisa Waters Lucas was an early settler to Fremont County, having come here with her husband, David Lucas, and several children prior to 1870. The Lucas family initially homesteaded in the Garden Park area and received a land grant in Lincoln Park. David Lucas purchased the property the house currently sits on from William Catlin in 1870, according to the property deed records held at the Fremont County Clerk and Recorder's Office. In 1879, David Lucas died, and according to the 1880 U.S. federal census, Louisa was living in South Canyon and very likely on this property with her 2 adult children. Louisa Lucas died in 1890, leaving the house to her children, Nettie and Clarence. The house became a rental up until the 1930s, according to the U.S. federal census records. 6 different families lived in the house from 1902 to 1951, at which time Fred Rouse acquired the property through a quiet title decree filed with the Fremont County District Court. Fred Rouse was a well-known and respected teacher in Canyon City. He taught at Washington, McKinley, and Wilson schools over the course of his 23-year career. He served as an athletic coach and grade school teams and organized and managed community youth and recreation programs. He also served as the president of the Canyon City Teacher Association and was one of the first board members of the Canyon City Area Metropolitan Recreation and Park District. He also served on the board of directors for the South Canyon Water District. He was very active with the Office of Economic Opportunity and a one-time commander of the Canyon City VFW post. Rouse even ran for city council on the Citizens Party ticket for city council in 1969 and again in 1971. He lived in the house with his wife and their 9 children until his death in 1973. In 1974, the Board of the Recreation District passed a resolution naming a park as a memorial to Fred Rouse in Lincoln Park. In terms of architecture, this house is one of the few remaining brick Italianate houses in South Canyon neighborhood that has not been resided with stucco or vinyl or wood siding. The house also has most of its original wood openings, and it has not been drastically altered from its original footprint with the exception of the historical front porch addition and minor back additions. The historic 2-story screened-in sleeping porch across the front facade is a very distinctive architectural element that reflects early 20th century concerns for health and the prevention of tuberculosis. Under these findings of facts, the structure meets the criteria for designation as listed in the city's ordinance, Section 123090. The original building and construction of the property took place prior to 1886, making it significantly more than 50 years old. The building has a few historical additions to the front and back sides, which were done over 50 years. And the property was originally owned by David and Louisa Lucas, and is also associated with Fred Rouse, one of the first board members of the Canyon City Area Recreation and Park District, with significant ties to the recreation and education of this community's youth. The house is one of the few buildings that exemplifies specific elements of an architectural style or period in the South Canyon neighborhood. As this is a public hearing, staff recommends the Historic Preservation Commission cite these findings as fact. As stated in the staff report, the application form, and the city's ordinance explaining the commission's jurisdiction to hold a public hearing on this request, the staff recommends the Historic Preservation Commission vote to support the resolution recommending City Council's approval for the Parkview Inn located at 258 Griffin Avenue to be designated as a local historic structure. That concludes the staff report. I am happy to answer any questions you may have at this time, and the owners are here as well.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Are there any questions from the commission?
Do you guys have anything you'd like to add to the presentation?
My name is Rich Millard, and I am by training an architect with a minor in historic preservation. I've always had a love for historic buildings, and Kevin and I have already undertaken a much smaller renovation of a 1898 house over on East Douglas Avenue. And this is just another, we found that moving from Durango, Colorado, where I lived for 25 years, and all the beautifully restored residences of significance down there, really, although I couldn't ever afford to buy one and restore one in Durango, Canyon offered this opportunity to that is full of just as many beautiful historic homes. This presence of this house next to a major park that the city has put considerable funds into restoring, I think would be fitting for this house to be restored to its former glory, to preside over Centennial Park and just be a beautiful addition.
I think it's neat to see, there's so many buildings that seem insignificant all throughout Fremont County, Canyon City. And just to learn the history that has happened with that house, the people who lived there with Rouse. I mean, I grew up going to Rouse Park all my life. And had no idea that much of the history about him, but it's just really neat to see the history behind.
It's cool to talk to the people we've talked to over the years that we've been here, which is almost 5 years now. And once we acquired that house and we were telling people, they're like, oh, everybody knows the house. The house with the two-story porch. So, you know, it's definitely, we feel that to take it, and I doubt that anybody recently remembers it as a you know, predominant house or preeminent house of stature. And like you said, there's so many houses that just, obviously, we have the mansions and the houses that we know and are very obviously of historic significance. But what really tells a story of a vibrant community is all of these other houses that are scattered throughout the area that don't have that preeminence, and just educating people on why the history is important, and the fact that Lucas, when we learned, we were so excited when we learned that the relation to Ormel Lucas, who was one of the first excavators up at Garden Park, was just really exciting to us because it directly ties into a very significant historic aspect of the region that Canyon City is known for. So I can promise that with, you know, that our intention is to respect all of the significant historical elements as we restore the house and make sure that it's done properly, and the finished product will be something that the community can be very proud of.
I would like to know, so you found a whole bunch of the architectural pieces in the basement?
Unfortunately, the architectural pieces are mostly gone. As Lisa pointed out, the house had been paneled in 70s paneling and a drop ceiling put in all the rooms. Did you have a picture of the stair? I mean, the staircase is what really sold us. Yeah, and that is definitely the most historical element. The trim is around the doors, but the corner medallions are all gone. So, but we have those in the house we restored. Oh, they are in the basement, okay. I guess they're in the basement, I did not know that. So that's even better. So yeah, I mean, we will use, and that staircase is really what sold us on the house when we saw that, and the possibility of what it could look like if it was completely restored. So really excites us to be able to do that. And our main focus is to get the house stabilized. It's in very good condition. The west brick wall does need some imminent repair work and stabilization. So that is our first priority, to get that done. And then we can focus on the rest of the project. So getting the historical status and being and the tax credits would really help push that financial burden a little bit down the road and help us out quite a bit. So,
Well, come back and keep us posted.
yes,
Exciting.
definitely, and we're very excited about it.
All right, any further comments from the commission or the public? All right, I will now close this public hearing and entertain a motion on the proposed resolution.
I move that the Historic Preservation Commission adopt the staff report dated September 22nd, 2021 as findings of fact to the commission, and to initiate historic designation in the form of Resolution Number 5 of 2021, attached to the staff report for the structure located at 258 Griffin Avenue, finding that it meets the criteria for initiation of designation per section 12.30.090, criteria for designation.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Cindy, roll call?
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Cindy's a yes. Carol, are you on yet?
Motion's approved.
And thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
I really hope it, not only for that project, but, you know, my hope is that this designation allows other homeowners and other people in Canyon to do the same to their historic homes, and that we can start a preservation revolution, so to speak.
Awesome.
And bring a lot of these beautiful homes back to where they should be.
Great.
We need to mow one of our communities.
I would like to make some comments. Am I going fast? Oh, okay. I'll sit down and be back up.
Okay. And we do have openings on this commission.
Yeah, that's
And with
right.
your background in architecture and historic preservation would be a,
Someone has mentioned that.
yeah,
We're a fun group.
yeah, it would be a wonderful asset to it.
It is under serious consideration.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right. Certification of alteration application form update and modification.
Just to give you an update, I did meet with Kathy Olch and Patrick Moretti, as well as Ryan and Rick, to come up with a strategy for implementation of their certificate of alteration application form. And they had some suggestions to the language that we used in the form. And as part of your packet, all the redlined items were the modifications. So modification and scope of work would mainly be for exterior work. So wanted to make sure that that was clarified, as well as on the second page, under section 1, number 4, getting rid of the interior and mainly just the exterior would be the focus. And then on the last page is under the owner certification, under the date, the minor, small print, the fee would be applied only if it had to go to a public hearing.
Yeah, I think those are good changes.
So 3 changes, Lisa?
Yep, those
What
3
was the-
changes.
What was the first one? I'm sorry.
The first one is under the scope of work on the first page.
Oh, just added to
Yep,
exterior.
modification
Clarifying
to
exterior.
exterior.
Okay, thank you.
So with your approval on this application form, we're looking at an implementation start date as of January 1st, 2022. We're also looking at doing a formal letter that we send out to owners and tenants, specifically owners of properties, commercial properties within the historic district of downtown. And we are drafting that letter at the moment.
Okay.
So our action item today is to approve or consider and approve the revisions to the alteration
Yes,
form?
yep.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll move that those 3 revisions that you presented be made to the form.
Second?
Cindy, roll call?
Chris?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Cindy is a yes, and Carol?
All right, motion's approved. Historic Preservation Plan Subcommittee.
So we've had several meetings, the Historical Context and Survey Subcommittee. We've been meeting quite often. 2 of the subcommittee members are here today. We've been looking at and photographing industrial sites within the city limits, including College of the Canyon, Empire Zinc area. Other structures that we've been looking at and doing more research on are structures known to be built with old ammunition boxes from military base at Fort Carson. Mainly ranging from the period of 1950s, 1960s, and 3 homes on Barrett and Gradine and 1 structure on Elizabeth have already been photographed. We've been doing surveys and photographing, taking photos of different homes within the old Canyon City neighborhood on Macon, Harrison, and Greenwood, and reaching out to some of these owners as well as they're going through and telling them about the Colorado tax credits program. We've also looked into researching houses built by high school students. There have been 8 identified and possibly 40 40 over the course of several years. We made photocopies or photographed the former ice house, the Colorado quarries, the rail yard weight station on Water Street, the former Jewett Fire Brick Plant. And we've also looked at and investigated and made a list of houses designed by a local designer by the name of Pauline Berman in the late 1950s, 1960s. And Sammy has actually been, her daughter, has been very instrumental in giving us that information. So that's where we are up to at this time. We're expanding the neighborhoods that we were looking at and doing surveys for. I should call them windshield surveys, nothing formal, but just going out there and getting a good idea of the type of architecture in those neighborhoods.
I emailed Lisa an update on the Education and Outreach Committee material. I suggest that maybe we can distribute that to members of the commission and others that would be interested in serving, including Terry.
One other suggestion, if we don't have any applicants for nominating historic property for our next meeting in October, we could set that as a work session meeting, since
That would be great. And I think one of the things that we might consider is to what extent we want to coordinate the development of the historic preservation plan with the celebration next year, to use that as, to draw attention to some of the topics and then coordinate our work on the historic preservation plan and outreach and citizen involvement to strengthen that process.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else on the subcommittee reports? With that, I will now open the meeting for public comment or announcements. I think Carol just logged in.
I'm Loretta Bailey, and I would like to just add some personal notes about the Rouse House. I was, and their gang of 9 children. I was raised on Riverside Drive with my 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and all of us attended the schools through grade school and junior high that Mr. Rouse and Mrs. Rouse taught at. So we knew the Rouses very well, but the amount of influence and the contributions that the Rouse family made to children, recreation, should be noted. So I apologize for standing up before I was called, but I get excited and eager, so
That's quite
thank
all
you.
right.
Thank you.
Do we have any other general announcements?
Yes. I did receive an email from the new coordinator for the CLGs with History Colorado. Her name is Lindsay Llewellyn. And so I have her contact information I can share with all of you. She's also sent out the 2021 annual report for our CLG, which is due November 1st. And I'll be working on completing that. If you have completed or done any workshops, training, anything like that on your own, please let me know and I can include that within the report. Other things that are coming up in terms of webinars, on October 20th, there will be a CLG grant webinar. And on November 17th is a Design Guidelines Development and Implementation Lessons Learned webinar. And I almost forgot, there is an application for a sub-grant certified local government sub-grant program for educational scholarship, which is due December 15th, 2021, and that will go towards registering for different training opportunities or conferences if you wish to attend those. Please let me know. I can forward that information out to you as well. We can get up to, is offering up to $5,000 in scholarships on a first-come, first-served basis.
Lisa, would that be available to staff as well?
Yes, both.
So,
Both CLG commission members as well as staff.
so perhaps some of the new staff at the museum might be able to take advantage of that, or
It would
other
be,
staff members?
it would be staff liaison for the commission.
Oh, okay.
So if you're interested in that, I can also forward that information. You should have this accessible to you via the CLG training portal as well, this information. And you can register for the training CLG grants, webinar, and the design guidelines also through the CLG training portal.
Lisa, in your contact with History Colorado and their website, were you able to discern any updates to the statewide preservation plan or the status of that?
Not this moment. I can check back with them.
Okay. Seems to be stalled.
Yeah, I wondered. Yeah.
All right, do we have any other comments or announcements? If there's no further business, I will adjourn this meeting.